It's another whiteboard video. Beavis and Butthead back at it once again to tell you things about motorcycles. And in today's episode, we're going to tell you guys bikes that you bought and then the bikes you should have bought. Because Logan, I think a lot of people are living in Delulu land, right?
Completely. Alternate realities.
Not among us in the real world.
Simulation.
Yes. And so today we're going to have some fun, show you guys bikes that people commonly buy and some choices we think that are a little smarter, more intelligent. Logan, kick us off with the very first bike.
All right, shooting straight for CFMoto right at the top of the video. The first bike you bought by mistake, CFMoto 800NK.
What is the thought process behind someone who gets one of these bikes?
They're looking to maximize their power per dollar. That's really what it all comes down to. These bikes are bottom dollar cheap, $8,000 at most, so you can get a year or two, not even used, a year or two old stock models for closer to $6,000 I've seen, and this bike's making almost 100 horsepower.
Yeah, so this bike I've seen online, people say, I got mine out the door for $6,300. You're getting a 790cc KTM derived engine making, as Logan said, close to 100 horsepower, some pretty nice tech, some pretty nice features. It is a lot of bike for the money, I do have to say. I think this is a motorcycle that I understand where people are coming from where they want to buy this. And some people want the warranty, they want a brand new bike, and maybe they don't mind, CFMoto ownership as much, which apparently I hear tell that the insides of these engines are all Japanese anyway. So maybe they're not even as Chinese as people imagine. You want to be out there China-pilled, you're not even doing it right. It's Japanese inside of it, but that might be a topic for a deep dive, Logan. We gotta make sure we find that out.
Yeah, don't tell too much. We gotta
save some for the catalog here.
Yeah.
So that's really the concept, right? People get the 800NK. It's a great value-driven proposition, but I think there's something a little bit better. If you're a value-driven person, you're cost-conscious, you want a lot of bang for buck, I don't understand why you wouldn't get a used MT-09. We were looking this up. You can get them all day long for between $7,000, $8,000 at most. They've made a ton of these motorcycles. They're not going to be holding their value, so to speak. And we're now a little past the 23 plus models that had the upgraded frame, the better geometry. You're getting 3 cylinders, 890 cc's, 120 ponies. MT-09s are awesome. So unless you really want a brand new bike, I don't know why you'd get CFMoto personally.
Yeah, I think more often than not, CFMoto purchase can always be optioned out to any used Japanese bike is probably going to serve you better long term, whether that's reliability, whether that's aftermarket support, different parts. Maybe it's just the respect of your fellow riders, right? Some people value that. So a Japanese bike is typically always a better option. When it comes to the CFMoto 800NK and specifically, MT-09 is kind of a no-brainer. If you wanted to go, full testosterone, balls to the wall, guardrails off, pre-23 update, you can get them like $4,000, $5,000.
Oh yeah.
Unhinged energy. But if someone's buying a CFMoto 800SK, they probably want the features, the polish of a modern motorcycle. So typically probably look for that 23 and up model year for that.
Yeah, no, it is actually mind-boggling how much of a screwball motorcycle the first gen FZ09 was. I recently rode one again at the Isle of Man, and I had a 2016 model, and I was like, man, I can't believe they sold them like this. This is crazy. This is a crazy bike. They're a lot of fun, but they're definitely not polished and well-rounded. So that's our pick. If you buy the 800NK, just get a used MT-09. Moving on. What do we got next, Logan?
So up next, we've got sort of the representative sport bike on the list, Japanese sport bike, if you will. The Yamaha R1, inline 4 cross-plane engine, people love it. It's got that cool, burbly, kind of V8-esque exhaust note. That's a great buy, right? For the average street rider?
Yeah, average street rider. I think a lot of, aspiring sport bike guys, you look at the R1 as the top of the castle because it's unique, it's cool, it looks awesome, it's aged really well, it's still relatively affordable, and it's a Yamaha, so will run really, really nice. I think the R1 for a lot of people is like the kind of best all-around apex predator sport bike that you can get. But there are compromises, Logan.
No way. I got 2 in the garage. That's how much I like this bike.
One for Monday, one for Tuesday, and then on Wednesday you ride the Sportster to remember what life is all about, right? But no, the R1, obviously, it's super committed. It's super insanely aggressive. It makes power all the way at the top end of the register. And you might say, oh, well, just get a Hypernaked, get the MT-10. But we have an option that makes a little bit more sense. If you're thinking about an R1, let's be so for real, you're not going on track all the time. You just like cool exhaust noises and you just want something that looks cool. Get an Aprilia Tuono V4. You get the base model. Don't go for the factory with the electronic old suspension, blah, 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 blah. You get the base model one. I think they run like 18 grand, which is about as much as an R1.
Right.
You get V4 sounds, cooler than a Crossplane 4. Fight me, I know. It's just my own opinion. I think they sound better. Exotic look and flair, and comfortable for the street. This is not some wannabe boy racer bike. You can actually use this thing day in and day out. I love the Aprilia Tuono V4, and I think realistically, that should probably be what you buy. What do you think, Logan?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I think the Tuono, it communicates taste, right? The R1, you're just every other Yamaha pilled street squid. You're a dime a dozen. There's millions of you out there. The Tuono, you've got unique European taste and styling, amazing exhaust sounds. You know, I think it's more sophisticated, a little bit more upmarket, beyond just its more usefulness and it's sounding cooler. It's a cool thing to ride a European motorcycle. Call me shallow, call me vain, but I think it's a pretty cool thing to do.
But Logan, the thing is, if everybody was as cool as us and chose cool European motorcycles, then the whole thing would flip back around.
Yeah, then we would have to start riding CFMotos.
Yeah, then we'd have to ride CFMotos and R1s, and then the whole thing would just fall apart. So if you do want an R1, get your R1, and then the rest of us will get Aprilia Tuono V4s and just be so cool on our V4 superbikes that are built for the street. And that's what's cool about the Tuono 2. Just a final point on here, it's still a superbike-based motorcycle. That frame and that engine, that whole setup is basically from the RSV4, which is still a superbike. So you're not getting some, I don't know, like the ZH2 is just like it's a trellis frame with a giant engine shoved in it. Or the KTM Super Duke, it's just a naked bike. It's not a super bike that's been turned into a street bike. So I think that's why the Tuono, they did it first, they did it best. I think it's a really sweet machine.
And I think it's worth mentioning too, you know, if you're pursuing an R1, you've got kind of Japanese reliability in the back of your mind. You're not going to necessarily get Japanese reliability with the Tuono, but it's a pretty long proven platform, you know. And the known issues that you will likely encounter are known, and the solutions are readily available.
I think much like every other European vehicle, regular care and feeding. You have to really make sure that you water them, pet them, love them, change the oil. You can't just, you know, ride them hard, put them away wet, and expect them to work the next day. Ask me how I know. I just got my Tuareg back from service after a couple weird odds and ends. Did Honda's Transalp over here at the Logan, did that happen? No, it did not. So if that's important to you, go Japanese, definitely. But moving on to other European pastures.
No preamble necessary. Next up, BMW R1300 GS.
The big dog.
Big dog.
Why do people buy this bike?
It's multifaceted. I think people buy this bike because they think they should, because they've been hounded relentlessly by people online and in person saying this is the best bike for someone that's maybe in their 30s, been around the block, wants a do-it-all machine, a Swiss Army knife bike that only costs a mere $30,000 with, you know, half of the options thrown on it. For me, you know, I keep trying to make sense and understand with the BMW GS owner, and they keep pushing back, and I can't defend them anymore. I can't do it.
And the funny thing about BMW GS, guys, not to pile on too much, because I know some of you are watching, we're trying to be a little friendly, but I think a lot of you have this idea that you're some type of like free thinker, or that you've like arrived to some conclusion that's like so out of the box. I've seen, you know, funny little stickers and stuff where people are like, oh, think outside the box, and it's a little Boxer twins. They've made like 100 billion thousand of these motorcycles. You're not that special because you own one, right? And as Logan said, I just think that they're very compromised both as on-road, off-road bikes. And so our choice to, you know, the bike you should have bought, it's literally anything else. We're not even gonna put something on here, it's just anything else. Just kidding, we do have an option, one sec. Middleweight sport bike, beginner bike, leader bike, blah, 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 blah. This year it's different. Look at this thing. Transverse V, green, Moto Guzzi. Have you ever seen anything like it? I sure haven't, and it's up for grabs on YamiNoob.co. It's our newest giveaway bike. You've been asking, begging, pleading for something different. Well, here you go. This is what it looked like. You may not like it, but this is what it looks like. Become a member on my website, join the Discord, have a good time, get all the exclusive content you could want, and you'll get entered to win this machine. If that doesn't sound good to you, you can always pick up some merch. A hat, a hoodie, t-shirt, every dollar you spent is an entry to win, subject to a multiplier. Don't sleep on it, hit that link down below. Now let's get back to the show. Okay, here's what you really should do if you're looking at GS. The complicated thing is you can't get one bike. You gotta do two bikes that are gonna both do the thing a little bit better, because you're trying to do too much with the GS. So we're gonna recommend you go Moto Guzzi Mandello, the V100, and a CRF 300L Rally. This was kind of a hard one for us to come up with, Logan, so help us out a little bit. Why would we go for these two?
Yeah, so the Mandello satisfies the like outside of the box, quirky, you know, I'm so much smarter than everybody else on the road mentality. If you want that kind of interesting, oddball European bike, the Mandello will suit that perfectly. And it's cooler. It's way more eye-catching. It's way more unusual. You know, a BMW GS, no matter what GS owners think, is not rare or unusual at all.
No.
Mandello, on the other hand, it's definitely gonna get someone's attention, you know, at bike night, at the grocery store, or wherever. As far as the CRF Rally goes, you know, we talked, you know, BMW, they're Euro-pilled people, they're of high taste. A BMW GS rider cannot handle everything a KTM Dual Sport has to offer, so we had to dumb it down to Japanese standards for them.
Yeah, imagine a BMW GS rider showing up to the KTM meetup and they're like, there's way too much testosterone here.
Sure.
I gotta go to the wine bar. I gotta go relax a little bit because they can't hang with KTM guys. Those guys are just built different.
They gotta go take their blood pressure medication, check on their 401k.
Put their compression socks on.
Put their compression socks on.
Hey, that's going to be us in like 20 years. We can't laugh too much, but yeah, the GS rider is just a little bit more relaxed. But that's why we gave you a Mandello. As Logan said, I'm telling you, you pull up in a Mandello, you will receive all of my respect. Maybe you don't want my respect. Maybe you say, I hate this Yamaha guy. I don't care what he thinks. But I'm a motorcyclist who's been around the block a little bit, and if I saw a Mandello on the road, I'd be like, oh, cool. Like someone actually bought a Mandello. Logan said, I see a GS. It's why I had my license plate bracket on my Touareg that said one less GS. It's just one less GS on the road, man. Come on.
And I'm convinced it was a GS owner, after all, that stole it.
Yes, my license plate did fall off mysteriously. It was just parked here in the shop. Someone took it, I think. I think a malign GS owner took my license plate bracket. So now it says ADV dad on it. Because I was like, maybe we go back a little bit more. A little nice.
Soften the edges a little bit.
So CRF 300L Rally, it's more off-road capable. It's fun. You can tour with it a little bit. You're gonna have a great time with this motorcycle. The Mandello is beautiful. It's unique. It's interesting. Give up this GS nonsense. Do the right thing. Get two bikes that are better than the one at doing that thing. You're gonna be a lot better off for it. Anything else on the GS, Logan?
I think we covered it all.
Yeah, I'm alienated the GS people, but moving on. What do we got next?
All right, if we didn't offend enough people with the BMW GS talk, this one might trigger some of the more sensitive Suzuki owners in the audience. And I think it's because a lot of people experience this bike, and that is, of course, the SV650.
Yes. A lot of people buy this bike. This is a super popular bike. It's super great, but I think that it's had its day in the sun.
Yeah, I think the times have shifted. Once upon a time, the SV650 was the default choice for a fun, cheap, affordable, naked motorcycle that just about anybody could have a good time on. But yeah, bikes change, things come and go. The SV650 was unchanged for, 10 years nearly. Not that newer is always better, but when you're going pound for pound, dollar for dollar, there's some new heavy hitters on the market that definitely give the SV a run for its money.
Yeah, and there was a world in which the SV had basically no competition. I think back to before the MT-07 was launched in like 2013, right? So I'd say those mid-2000s to mid-2010s, a used SV650 was genuinely one of the greatest middleweight pound for pound motorcycles you could buy. But this field is so dense now. There's so many new bikes. There's so much new technology. There's so much better stuff in it. And the SV's just kind of been chugging along. It's still an okay bike. But there's one that I think you know where we're going with this is absolutely the right choice. So in 2026, the bike you should get is a Honda Hornet 750. The only bike to receive a perfect 10 score here on Yami that fits the design brief completely perfectly. It is a mousetrap of a middleweight Japanese motorcycle. I cannot think of how they're going to improve on this bike. I'm sure Honda, they're in their glow up phase. They're coming back. Big Red is doing some cool stuff. Maybe they can iterate on it, but Logan, as I said, I think it's about damn near perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only way that the CB750 can become an even more superior purchase compared to an SV650 is once they really start hitting the used market. They cost just under $8,000 brand new now. In a couple years, you've seen them for $6,000, $5,500, $7,000, depending on mileage and whatever. That's an amazing bargain, right?
That bike for $5,500.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
And because for me, putting myself in the mind of a potential prospective SV650 owner, say it's like, okay, I can spend $5,000, get a bike that's maybe 10 years old, decent mileage, and yeah, it'll run forever. Or I can save up a little bit, another year, put off riding another year, because life is long, right? And then I get a CB750. It was just like so much more motorcycle that will provide you with fun for much longer than a 10-year-old bike that sooner or later will start kind of showing its age.
Well, that mindset of the life is long, waiting a little bit, you know, the Japanese bike owner mindset, that's a polar opposite of like the CFMoto owner that's like, I may not be alive tomorrow, so I gotta go get my bike today, I'm gonna go get it now. So again, keep this in mind as we talk about the cultural zeitgeist changing here. You know, CFMoto owners, they're living on borrowed time, right? But then the Japanese bike owner, so intelligent, waits a year, gets the right bike. It's hard to imagine.
CFMoto ownership is another element of like gesture maxing. That's what I think. CFMoto is like a gesture move.
Oh my God. I would love for, like, that is a deep cut. I'd love for anybody to comment down below if you even know what Logan is talking about here. Maybe the AMU Bodies is aware of such things.
I think so.
I don't know.
Think it's kind of bleeding over.
Yeah. That guy's insane.
I know.
Yeah, that guy's insane. We're going to leave it at that. We'll just move on with that. Let's move on to the final bike that you bought, but there's something even better that you should have bought.
All right, so the last motorcycle on the list is sort of an oddball choice. You know, we've got the adventure bike, we've got the sport bike. Now we have the ultra utilitarian, boring snooze fest motorcycle. Of course, we're talking about the Honda NC750. I think now NC750X if you want to get specific with it.
They make an X version of it, or is that too edgy for it? It's all X now?
I think so.
Wow. X ratings coming to you from Honda. So the NC750X, I guess, is now called an X. People buy this bike because they want the Versys 650 is not utilitarian enough. They're like, nope, I want a frunk, I want even lower power, I want longer stroke engine, I want DCT, like I want it to shift for me, I want to do all these things. And I'm like, why are you taking all of the fun out of motorcycling, first of all? Just get a car at this point. Or maybe you should, I want to bury the lead here a little bit, I forgot to grab my tile, but it's the end of the video, so who cares? Just get a friggin' Suzuki Burgman 650. Admit to yourself you just want a scooter, and that is okay. Scooters are awesome, and I think when you lean into the Chad scooter energy and you do away with this awful, like, let me get a motorcycle but take out all the good stuff of a motorcycle thing out of it. To me, Logan, it's like, it's dastardly, you know, it's heinous, it's like, it's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, because riding a scooter is based because you're riding a scooter, right? You're not trying to pretend that it's something that it's not. The NC750 is like, well, it's fundamentally a motorcycle. It's very much trying to pretend to be a motorcycle while really just being a scooter. If it's got a front, there's a reason only one motorcycle on the face of the earth has a frunk, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not supposed to be there. We're not supposed to do that.
That's strange. Yeah, and they say, but it's so practical. I'm like, because it should just be a scooter. Yeah. Let's just be honest. And then like they slant the engine way down and put it way low to give it more of that scooter-like characteristics. And you might say, yeah, but lower center of gravity, that's better, right? No, think about it. Motorcycles that have higher points of the crank, they tip over faster. Look at any sport bike, the engine's higher up and the whole, I'm not gonna explain motorcycle geometry to you. The NC750 is an abomination against God. It should not exist, and yet people buy them, but just get a scooter. Again, not that you think my respect is worth anything, but I really think that if I see someone on a Burgman 650, I'm like, oh, nice. Like that guy, maxi scoot, that's amazing. Garrett Gerloff likes maxi scooters. Everyone I know that is cool and based likes scooters. You with your NC750, I don't know, man.
Not based.
I don't know. It's a hard one to swallow, right? Could you maybe flip this all the way around and say, are they based because they have just truly be like, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm gonna get an NC750.
Maybe, but it's hurting my brain kind of thinking about it.
It's kind of a tall order.
So I'd say no.
Yeah.
I think you can't go that far.
It's too far. Yeah. But boys, that's gonna wrap up today's video. These are the bikes you buy. What you do, bad. What we do, good. Let that be a lesson to you. We got the red today. It's a little unhinged. We had some fun. Leave us a comment down below if you agree, disagree, or if you didn't even make it like 5 minutes into this video without just clicking off and just be like, I hate these guys, whatever. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.